is the Louie Tee Network.
I'm ready for some football. I don't know about you. Who else could it be but your man Lou? Yeah.
Overtime! So we head to overtime.
Who else could it be but me, your me, Louie Tee? Welcome to Sunday Night Football Overtime. Another overtime game, 3 weeks in a row. Sunday Night Football is single-handedly holding up the NFL primetime schedule with some really good games. And this is what your A-list, A-level games are supposed to do. As you all know, the Sunday Night Football package is the NFL's A-list package, which gets all of the best games, supposedly, and they have not let us down. They've gotten the best games, and we've gotten the best results from these games by far, and it's not even close. And so Sunday Night Football doing what it's supposed to do as the lead dog in the clubhouse as far as the NFL is concerned. Another thriller as the NFC East represents big time with the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. We're going to break this game down here in a second. But first, welcome to the Louie Tee Network. And subscribe if you haven't already done so for more great content in 2016 and beyond. We're changing the game over here, man. And I want you to be a part of it. So go ahead, hit that red subscribe button for more great content on this network as we continue to change the game. Want you to be a part of that. So as we continue on, if you want your voice to be heard and you're watching this, but you're on Twitter, hey, I'm on Twitter. So go ahead, shoot me a message at In the Lab Room using the hashtag LouieTeeLive. So go ahead and follow me on Twitter so you will be up to speed on when I go live, or if I have a video that I upload, or if I'm just tweeting during a game randomly, you will be up to speed on what's going on here on the Louie Tee Network. So go ahead and follow me on Twitter. I'm also on Facebook. In the Lab Room is the Facebook page. All of the social media platforms are currently scrolling right up there above. So take a gander. And if you need some extra references, boom, they're right there in the Lab Room on Facebook. Go ahead, give me that thumbs up. In the Lab Room, at In the Lab Room on Twitter. And of course, the big dog, Louie Tee Network on YouTube. So with that being said, great ball game. Down to the wire, more overtime, more bonus football for us to enjoy on a day that was filled with close ball games that went down to the wire. 3 overtime games, 1 ending in a tie, this one having some drama at the end. Great football. Let's break this one down. Likes, dislikes, banana in the tailpipe. Philadelphia Eagles, Dallas Cowboys, NFC East, family business. If these two teams said they ain't did it, then they ain't did it. But if they did, that's family business. Like, dislike, banana in the tailpipe.
What y'all, the second team?
We're the first team.
Yeah, we're not gonna fall for a banana in the tailpipe.
You're not gonna fall for the banana in the tailpipe?
All right, so let's jump into this breakdown. Eagles, Cowboys, likes, dislikes, banana in the tailpipe. Really good football game. Really good football game. Thought that the Eagles had an opportunity to win this game, and they let it slip through their fingers. Let's break this down, though. Likes in the first half. We always start with the roadie, that being the Philadelphia Eagles in this ball game. So let's start with them and their likes from the first half. Darren Sproles, what more can I say? What more can I say about Mighty Mike, man? This guy is the truth. It seems like I talk about him and reference him every single Philadelphia Eagles game. At least it seems like. This guy, I think he's taken over the lead back role after Matthews fumble versus Detroit. Haven't seen him as much. Maybe he's dealing with an injury that we really don't know about, but didn't see a lot of Matthews tonight. Saw a ton of Darren Sproles, and he's a difference maker. When he's in the game, you always hold your breath when he has the football, because at a moment's notice, this guy can pop it, come through the other side, make guys look silly out in space, and get vertical quickly. And so when this is a guy that can change the game from the running back position as a wide receiver, split him out of the backfield as a pass catcher, and we all know what this guy does as a returner as well. So there's so many different ways he can touch the football and impact the game. This guy is someone that I just marvel at. At 32 years old, doesn't look like he's lost a step at all. Darren Sproles on my first half likes list, as he was a big force for the Eagles in this ball game. Jordan Hicks getting an interception. This is a big play at the time because Cowboys looking to get some points in the game. This is one of those situations where you're in the red zone. You're going to get at least a field goal. Your kicker is just about as automatic as it gets in this league. So you're getting something out of this if you don't turn it over. And Dak Prescott turned it over. And I thought that Jim Schwartz did a great job. And remember, I talked about Schwartz as a guy that if I'm a team looking for a new head coach, and I think I've got some defensive horses, he's a guy that I'm strongly considering because of things like what we saw tonight, where he put Dak Prescott's ass in the microwave and heat his ass up. Put it on about 2 minutes and had his ass on fire tonight. And that was the knock on Dak Prescott coming out of Mississippi State. If you put pressure on him, he will make mistakes. And he hasn't really been under duress this season, which is why he's played so well. But if you look at the numbers tonight, they were awfully funky. But when the team needed him the most, he stepped up and made some plays. But make no mistake about it, this is who he can be. Okay, you can put pressure on him. Now, it's easier said than done with that Cowboys offensive line. And if you feel confident enough to play man-to-man with those guys that they have out there, Terrence Williams and Des Bryant and Cole Beasley and Jason Witten, if you're comfortable enough playing man-to-man coverage and sending some extra rushers, be my guest. But it does come at a cost. But if you can hit home, you can make him make some mistakes. We saw some errant throws. We saw some bad decisions. We saw an interception, talking about the Jordan Hicks interception. Big play by Jordan Hicks right before the half. Also turned a potential Cowboys touchdown or field goal into an Eagles field goal. So you're talking about a 6-point swing, potentially as much as a 10-point swing with that interception by Jordan Hicks in the end zone. 55-yard field goal before half by Caleb Sturgis. Huge kick, big leg. That one went in, probably had another 2 or 3 yards to spare. Big kick right before the half to give the Eagles even more momentum. If the pick by Jordan Hicks wasn't enough momentum going into the halftime break, getting a 55-yarder tack on 3 right before the half was even bigger momentum boost going into the halftime break. You go to the Cowboys and their first half likes. The 53-yard Des Bryant catch leads to a Dak run for a touchdown, his 4th of the season. So that was a huge play early in this ball game. Eagles strike first with the field goal. Cowboys come back, get on the board with a touchdown. Des Bryant making his presence felt. Remember, this guy has not played in the game since week number 3, I believe, against Chicago is when the injury was sustained. Hasn't been on the field since then. So he was chomping at the bit to get out there and make a play. And Des struck early, made his presence felt early. Did go away for a while, but came back at the most critical juncture of the game. Made another huge play. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. But Des Bryant and that 53-yard grab and the subsequent 4-yard touchdown run by Dak Prescott that followed were my first half likes for the Dallas Cowboys. You go to the first half dislikes for the Eagles. Nelson Aguilar with a drop on 3rd down, and this is what you get from this Eagles football team. Ton of drops. They had more drops throughout the course of the game. This is what they do. And that's why they're on the market currently looking for a difference maker at receiver, because they're lacking at that position on the offensive side of the football. Aguilar has been a huge disappointment. And again, I don't like to beat guys up who are only in their 2nd season, but doesn't look good from the forecast right now on Aguilar's career. He looks like a guy that is just going to be a 3rd option at best throughout the course of his career, especially if he can't catch the football. Big drop there. He was open, would have kept the possession alive and potentially turned what ended up being a field goal into a touchdown. If he catches that football on 3rd and 6, he would have had the first down. You go to the Dallas Cowboys and their first half dislikes. Fumble on the opening kickoff. Lucky Whitehead fumbles the football. Look, no harm, no foul. He gets the football back. So it's not a big deal, but that's not the way you want to start the game. I thought that if the Cowboys lost this game, that was an omen right there, because you don't fumble the opening kickoff the way that he did. But again, He got it back, so no harm, no foul. 12-man penalty on the punt. Cowboys were going to get off the field. They had forced a punt, and they give the Eagles back the football with the 12-man on the field penalty. Eagles get a field goal out of the deal. So, again, making a mistake that cost you points. That's a 3-point mistake by the Dallas Cowboys, not getting their guys off the field in time, not calling a timeout. And we did see a player calling a timeout, but it was not granted, and the Eagles get a break there, end up turning that mistake by the Cowboys into a field goal. Those are costly mistakes. You don't make that mistake, maybe you win this football game in regulation. That's the difference between winning and losing in this league. Can't have those type of self-inflicted wounds. And Dak throwing an interception in the end zone right before the half. A really bad decision, bad choice, poor read by Dak Prescott. Again, got pressured on the play, and when he's pressured, these are the types of mistakes you can force him into later in the game. Almost picked off again in the back of the end zone, if not for Terrence Williams with a great pass interference. That's a pick in the end zone. Cowboys get no points on that possession. So Dak Prescott, again, he's not unlike any other rookie, not unlike any guy in this league where you pressure them, they will make mistakes. The elite guys, they don't give you those opportunities very often. They will take a sack. They don't give a damn because they're not going to give you a freebie. But certain guys will, and Dak Prescott, that was the knock on him coming out of Mississippi State. You saw it. This is the first time you've seen him be under duress and make those kinds of decisions. Now, that's a little bit of that book being out on him now. A little bit more tape. Teams are going to look at what the Eagles did in this game and try to apply that, put that into their game plan and see if they can trick that offensive line. Because like Chris Collinsworth said on the telecast, thought he did a great job of illustrating this, they're not always coming with 6 and 7 guys. Sometimes it was only 5. Sometimes it was only 4, but the way that they disguised it, it looked like more, confused that Cowboys front, and were able to generate pressure like Connor Barwin getting on a sack to end regulation. That was simply a 4-man rush that looked like 6 guys were coming. They dropped 2 into coverage. No one touches Connor Barwin, comes in scot-free, gets the sack. Those are the types of plays that teams are going to look at after watching this game and say, hey, we can do this. We can scheme up some ways to put a little pressure on him, put him in the microwave a bit, make him uncomfortable, see if we can't force him to make some bad decisions against us in the future. You go to the lights. In the second half, we go back to the Philadelphia Eagles. Pressure on Dak. I thought they did a great job, and give some credit to Jim Schwartz for, again, putting Dak Prescott in the microwave and heating him up in this game and making him uncomfortable. You look at those numbers, 19 of 39. You're talking less than 50% completion percentage. He was not good in this game for the majority of it, but when they needed him the most, he stepped up and made plays, and that's the difference between Cowboys teams of the past and this team this season. Is you got a guy that with the game on the line isn't going to puke all over himself, isn't going to be scared by the moment, isn't going to make some kind of bad decision and suffer from competition anxiety. He's going to go out and ball when the team needs him the most. And despite not playing his best football, I say this about Joe Flacco all the time. Joe Flacco will stink for 3.5 quarters with the game on the line. That's why I love Joe Flacco. You're seeing some of that with Dak Prescott in this ball game. But pressure on Dak was great all night long, forced him into a bunch of tough throws, some bad decisions. And even when he had time, because of that consistent pressure, he was off on some throws. Guys were open and he was high and he was misreading opportunities. How many times did we see Cole Beasley open and him just not get the football to Cole Beasley, where earlier in the season, he was picking defenses apart, finding Cole Beasley wide open over the middle of the field. That's what pressure can do. It can speed up that internal clock in your head, make you make decisions that you don't normally make, and miss receivers that you don't normally miss. That pressure that the Eagles applied in this game, I thought, was a big contributing factor to him struggling in this game. Tempo on offense. I thought they sped up the tempo. They got a little bit of success towards the end of the first half when they sped up the tempo, when they got that field goal. And they said, hey, that worked a little well for us. Let's try that in the second half, and it worked to perfection. They moved the football for much of the third quarter and early in the fourth quarter with tempo, changing the pace a little bit. Don't understand why more teams don't do this, not just against the Cowboys, but in general. Sometimes changing the pace of the game can benefit you, speeding things up, tiring out a defense, not allowing substitutions. Those types of things can help you when you change tempo. They did it well, and they were able to benefit in the second half. Huge kick return by Josh Huff. They seem to do this every week, it seems like now. Big touchdown couple weeks back against the Redskins. Huge touchdown last week versus the Vikings and almost popped another one. Josh Huff with a huge return sets up a field goal to give them a 23-13 lead. Looked like that was going to be enough to win on this night. That 10-point lead looked like it was going to hold up. Who knew that would be the final points of the game for the Eagles, and it would not be enough to get this done. Josh Huff and that special teams unit continuing to have an impact on Eagles games this season. You go to the Dallas Cowboys and their likes from the second half. Fake punt by Chris Jones. And a lot of times you don't see punters who have runs on 4th and 8 or 11 or whatever it was and get 30. If you normally pick up a chunk of yardage like that, it's generally with a pass. But he ran and he had some athleticism, man. Some of these punters on the sneak, on the low, got a little bit of athleticism, man. Saw Marquette King run for like 24 yards on 4th and 23 last week versus the Jaguars. And you see Chris Jones running for 30. I'm like, wait a minute, man. Some of these punters got some wheels on them, man. Chris was motoring. He didn't want no parts of any contact, though. He was straddling that sideline like, hey, man, as soon as I see a threat coming, I'm going to go ahead and dip out of bounds. But not before he picks up 30 and flips field position. And it was a huge play in the game because the Cowboys were dead. Dead, I tell you. At that point in the game, they were down 10 at 23-13. They were searching. The crowd was out of it. They were searching for some kind of a lift, and the special teams gave it to them. They would get a field goal off of that. So that was a huge play for the Cowboys there. That helped them get back into the game. Terrell McClain forces a fumble, or actually they didn't get any points off the fake field goal. But what it did was it did get the crowd back involved. Okay, the crowd was dead. They were sitting on their hands. They weren't making any noise. That kind of got them rejuvenated. It flipped field position, definitely did that. And so Terrell McClain forcing a fumble of running back Wendell Smallwood. Huge play in the game. Cowboys recover that at the 36-yard line of the Philadelphia Eagles. That would turn into a field goal, cut the lead to 7, which would give them an opportunity to later tie the ball game up. Speaking of which, the next like on the list, game-tying touchdown drive, 11 plays, 90 yards, 3 minutes and 22 seconds, 22-yard touchdown to Dez Bryant. Huge play, huge drive, okay? Again, Eagles had the Cowboys bottled up for most of the night, and this was a drive that featured a huge run by Ezekiel Elliott called back by a Travis Frederick penalty. So they had to overcome that and still drive the length of the field, going 90 yards on an improbable drive, because when you think about it, the Eagles had stymied the Cowboys. Since that early first quarter touchdown by Dak Prescott, they had not had a lot of success. Had the Cowboys hadn't scored a touchdown since then in this game. So they had done a great job of keeping the Cowboys bottled up. And to give it up late in the ball game there, that defense finally wore down and gave in as the Cowboys were able to get down the field and tie the game up at 23 with a huge drive late in the fourth quarter. Overtime drive is the last like on the list. 12 plays, 85 yards, 4th and 1 conversion. That's a really ballsy call by Redhead Jesus head coach Jason Garrett to go up and really go for it, because they could have been simple and soft there and said, all right, we're going to kick the field goal. You got a kicker that's pretty much clutch. He's going to knock it home. And you didn't want to put that your kicker in a situation where if he misses, you give up great field position. All the Eagles now need is a field goal to win the game. I understand that, but you take the points normally in that situation. But you've seen coaches more apt and willing to roll the dice this season and have it pay off. Numerous times, Jack Del Rio has rolled the dice out in Oakland. There are a number of occasions where head coach out in Atlanta, Dan Quinn, has rolled the dice this season, and it's come up big for him. So coaches electing to bypass the conservative approach, be more aggressive in these, and analytics, and I'm not an analytics guy, but analytics say you're supposed to go for it on 4th and 1 more times than you're supposed to punt. And the Cowboys rolled the dice with a quarterback sneak with Dak Prescott. Initially didn't have it. The second surge by an offensive lineman pushed them through, got the first down. They did not look back, moved it down the field. Jason Witten with the game-winning catch in the end zone. Beautifully orchestrated drive by Dak Prescott. Avoided a rusher on one play. Vinny Curry had a piece of the jersey, steps up in the pocket, shrugs the shoulder, delivers the football to Cole Beasley. Huge drive. Like I said, Dak struggled for most of this game, but with the game on the line, huge fourth quarter drive to tie it. huge overtime drive to win it. Dak Prescott stepping up when the Cowboys needed him most. You go to the dislikes for both teams in the second half. We start with the Eagles. DGB with a drop. Again, I talked about drops being a part of what the Eagles do. It's a part of their identity at the receiver position. That would have been a nice catch. They ultimately scored a touchdown on that possession. So, again, you're not going to beat them up for it, but they need to catch the football when they're open. Probably the single most destructive turnover in this game for either team. Wendell Smallwood's fumble led to the Cowboys getting a field goal. They were down 10. It was a 2-score game. Eagles were comfortable. If you just punt in that situation, you probably still win this game. But that fumble gave the Cowboys life, cut it to a 1-score game. Even though the Eagles defense came on the field, got a stop, still Cowboys able to get a field goal out of it, cut it to 7 at 23-16. They would later get the touchdown and knot it up. I always say in big spots like this, primetime games, leave the youngins at home. They don't know how to act when the lights are their brightest and the stage is its biggest. Leave the youngins at home. These boys crack under these types of pressure-packed situations. I've seen it throughout my life watching football. Rookies on big stages, on primetime television, they always do something to embarrass you a lot of times. And I'm not talking about quarterbacks. I'm talking about skill guys. I've seen it, whether it's a muff punt or kickoff, a fumble, a tipped pass that ends up getting picked off. We see the young boys do this every single year. Wendell Smallwood, no different, fumbles the football. Huge turning point in this game as the Cowboys would get a field goal, cut the score to a one-score game, and later tie it up. Carson Wentz on third down throws the football to Darren Sproles on a 3rd and 3 where he throws it backwards. Inexcusable. This is, again, young boys not knowing the time, the down, the distance, and where you are at on the field. And again, all it is situational awareness. You muff the snap, okay? You drop the snap on the ground. That whole play is blown to smithereens. The timing is off. You're throwing a football 3 yards behind you. Sproles is getting tackled for a 4-yard loss. Chuck it out of bounds. It's really simple. That play is dead. Dead on arrival. DOA. Dead on arrival. Get rid of it. You got a field goal now if you get rid of that football. Instead, you throw it backwards. You end up getting tackled at the 38-yard line. Now that's a 56-yard field goal. Well, your kicker made a 55-yarder earlier, but there were no stakes involved then. That was halftime. Either he makes it or he doesn't. We're going to halftime. We're not giving up great field position here. If he misses, this is a different situation altogether. Late fourth quarter, we're up by 7. We can't afford to give the Cowboys the football with a chance to get some great field position when they just need a touchdown to tie. Got a punt now because you put your team in that kind of precarious situation with the bad decision to throw it to Darren Sproles behind the line of scrimmage after you bobbled the snap. Now you've cost your team an opportunity at 3 points. Got to know the down, the distance, the situation, and where you are on the field is called situational awareness. Wentz lacked it there at the most critical juncture of the game. If they get a field goal there, they win this game. Instead, they punt. The Cowboys ultimately go the length of the field and tie this game up. Those are the types of mistakes that these guys won't make as they progress in their careers, but as rookies, these are the types of things they're not aware of. And I didn't like the play calling late in this game. I didn't like the play calling into overtime. Well, they didn't get the football in overtime, but a lot of questionable decisions. Throwing the football, you get 8 on first down and you're throwing the ball behind the line of scrimmage. They continually did that late in the ball game, like they didn't trust Wentz to go down the field, throw the slants that he had been hitting all night long. You're throwing on 3rd and 3 to Burton. What are you doing? One-on-one with a corner, you're going to throw it to a fullback / 3rd string tight end? That's your best call? That's the best you got for me on 3rd and 3? Really? You deserve to lose the football game. I thought the play calling and the execution late in the game for the Eagles really pissed this game away. You go to the Cowboys in their second half dislikes. Anthony Hitchens with the personal foul penalty leads to a Matthews touchdown. You just can't have it. You can't have it's an obvious drop. You see it, and you go and you spear the guy. He's going to hear from the league office. He's going to have a nice yellow FedEx package in his locker on Wednesday with a fine inside. Hopefully he's ready to pay that because that was an idiotic move. 1, you cost your team 15-2, and it ended up turning into a touchdown 3. You can't have it. It's just no place in the league for that kind of nonsense. Chop block penalty on a punt. Again, you're giving up great field position. Your punter kicks it, pins them inside the 20. You give up a chop block, then penalty, And that's 15. That's not a 10. That's not a 5. That's a big, fat, whopping 15-yard penalty. Moves the Eagles out past the 30, gives them great field position. They'll take it all day long. They end up getting some points off of that again. These are the types of mistakes that can cost you ball games. The Cowboys were not clean in this game. Made a ton of mistakes, but they overcame. And that's what good teams do. They overcome mistakes. Cowboys found a way to do that in this game. Cole Beasley missed a deep shot to T. Will. They do the double pass. Cole Beasley, ex-high school quarterback, gets an opportunity to throw it first time in his 5-year career, and he misses the mark. T. Will had a step or two on the closest defender. If he connects, that might be a touchdown. They just missed that opportunity. And Travis Frederick with a holding penalty on a huge Ezekiel Elliott run on what would end up being ultimately the game-time possession. Again, normally these guys on that offensive line are flawless, don't make these types of mistakes, but he did get caught with his hand in the cookie jar, 10-yard penalty. But again, they overcame the penalty, still scored on an 11-play, 90-yard drive that took up 3 minutes and 22 seconds of the fourth quarter clock as Dez Bryant catches the 22-yard pass to help tie this game up at 23. And of course, the Cowboys, they get it done in this game. The banana in the tailpipe for the Philadelphia Eagles is this is who they are. For those of you who think that the Eagles are going to compete with the Cowboys for this division, they're not ready yet. And remember, they were playing with house money. Okay, so my banana in the tailpipe is that this Eagles team is good enough to win this division. They're not good enough to win the NFC East. They were supposed to be a year away. Everybody knows that. And the fact that they were playing for first place in this game shows you just how far they've come under this coaching staff in such a short period of time, because everybody, and I'm talking Eagles fans as well, wrote this team off. This was supposed to be a lost season, a season for growth, a season to restock and replenish the cabinet and the pantry with talented football players. No one expected much of this Eagles football team. Then you make the trade with the Vikings to get you a first-round pick, and Wentz enters the lineup, and voila, this team has taken off, and they've done some good things, but make no mistake about it, they're not ready for the show quite yet. And this game proves it. They had this game. They had opportunities. They let them slip through their fingers. They had a 10-point lead for much of the second half, and Wentz makes a bad decision on a throw that cost them a field goal attempt, and then the defense just gave up too many chunk plays down the stretch. But like I said before, you live by the blitz, you die by the blitz. They blitzed. They didn't hit home sometimes, but I don't have a problem with the play calling on defense. I love the fact that they came after Prescott, because that's how they got the lead, coming after Prescott, making him uncomfortable. But they did give up some plays, but you expect the offense to do more than they did in the fourth quarter, and they frankly let this Eagles team down, going 3 and out after 3 and out after 3 and out, and not sustaining offense and keep giving the Cowboys opportunities to possess the football. Eventually, the dam was going to break, and it did late in fourth quarter and into overtime. That being said, Cowboys and their banana in the tailpipe is this. They're legit, and I don't know if anybody wasn't buying them before the game, but I'm here to tell you that they're legit. Now, I will tell you this. There will come a time you're going to need Tony Romo this season. And I don't know if Dak Prescott can actually take you where you want to go. Tonight was very telling for me, because while he did bring you back late and did all the things you want him to do, he struggled for a vast majority of this game. And teams are going to start heating him up. And if he can make the throws, if he can make the decisions, power to him. But right now, I think he's lacking some of those decision-making skills, because, again, there were some mistakes that could have been made in this game. That end zone throw that would have took some points off the scoreboard if Terrence Williams isn't heady enough to pull that defender down and not allow him to catch it. That's a poor decision. That's a throw it out of the back of the end zone, live to fight another day decision. And instead, he tries to force it. When you put pressure on Dak Prescott, he showed his true colors tonight, that he will throw the football up for grabs. There was another throw that I thought was intentional grounding where there was no one there. He just threw the football up. That's a loss of down and a penalty. These are decisions where you're just like, hey, you got to be better than that. You got to be smarter than that. But he did make the plays again. I want to reiterate, when the game was on the line, he made the plays. But I think this is a blueprint. In a win, this is a blueprint that teams around the league are going to look at and say, okay, now we have something that has been tangible and successful versus the Cowboys and Dak Prescott. Let's see if we can't copy. It's a copycat league. But these Cowboys, banana in the tailpipe, I'm not falling for this team falling off or self-destructing. I think Jerry Jones understands what he has to do now. There's no decision to be made. This is Dak Prescott's team until otherwise notified. I think at some point they're going to need Tony Romo later down the stretch. But as of right now, this is Dak Prescott's team, no doubt about it. So with that being said, let's get to your comments. Let's check Twitter quickly and make sure that we don't have any comments from anybody on Twitter. And we don't. Let me check my mentions just to make sure that I don't miss anything. And I didn't. So let's jump on your comments and see what we got going on now. All right. All right, let's see what we got. Whoa. Feel like I missed a bunch of comments, but I can't go back up. It's not letting me go up. I didn't realize we had that many people on, so all those comments that were before these comments, I apologize, but they are long gone. A lot of comments in the comment section tonight. Let's jump on some of these. I see a lot of trash talking going on. Spooky Ellen says, Dak or Romo, who starts and who should start? It's definitely Dak's team. Jerry Jones understands that he can't break up the continuity and the momentum built with Dak in the lineup. If Tony's healthy, that's a great option to have in a game that maybe Dak's struggling in. You could put Tony in, but make no mistake about it. Until the young fella starts to falter and this team isn't winning ball games, you can't mess with what isn't broken. You got to keep Dak in it. This is his team. He's the future. I think Tony Romo understands that. And you saw Jerry Jones kind of over the last couple of weeks backtracking on that harsh line statement. Oh, Tony's team. Tony's healthy. It's his team. Now you're starting to hear him say, oh, this is a great problem to have. And yeah, he's starting to kind of do that moonwalk because he understands I need to make sure I don't put myself in a corner or a box because this young fella, we didn't expect this, but this is a welcome surprise. I don't want to take him out. And I don't think the players in that locker room want him out. And we're not going to mess with this team chemistry that's being built. The only thing that we had that we could say, hey, he doesn't have a great rapport with Dez Bryant yet. Tony Romo and Dez Bryant are in sync with one another. Well, you saw it tonight, 4 catches, buck 13, huge touchdown. He's starting to connect with Dez Bryant. Once he gets that connection down pat, there is nothing stopping this offense from being dynamic and elite. You leave Dak Prescott in, and you don't look back if you're the Dallas Cowboys. Sean Mack says, without my Buckeye, Zeke, no way Dallas is this good. Your thoughts? Absolutely. You are absolutely correct in that statement. And that's why I said last year that they needed to draft him. It was simple for me. You put an elite dynamic back behind that offensive line, and the game is over. It's never going to be the same, and it hasn't been the same. This guy's been dynamic. He's easily the rookie of the year offensively right now. And he's been dominant this season and continued to play good ball tonight. Didn't eclipse 100, but between his receiving yards and what he did on the ground, huge impact in this game for Ezekiel Elliott. Smoke says, you were right about how the boys needed to take Ezekiel at 4. He was the right pick. Look, I've been saying it for almost a year now that if you are the Cowboys and you get that pick, how can you pass on a guy that can help you? Because he's going to touch the football so much. Yeah, I know you need defensive help, and you could have used the stud like a Bosa or anybody like that. But bottom line, Bosa was gone the pick before, but I don't think they were going to take him. I think the pick, they would toss jostling between Jalen Ramsey, a guy that you thought could be a shutdown corner for you, and Ezekiel Elliott. Look, the impact that Ramsey is going to have, minimal in comparison to a guy that could touch the football up to 35, 40 times a game between his carries out at the running back position and his catches out of the backfield. And this is a 3-down back, so a guy that you can have in pass protection. Herb Meyer said, look, man, this is the most physical guy without the football I've ever coached. We're talking about a running back. These are all the things that he brings to the table. There was no doubt in my mind that this was the draft pick. Cowboys made the right decision. Smoke says, what would you do with the Dak Tony situation? It's simple for me. I said it already, and I'll say it once more. Dak Prescott is your quarterback until otherwise notified. The guy has won 6 games in a row. Are you ready? They got the Browns next week. You think they're going to lose to the Browns next week? That would be 7 in a row. let's say Tony's ready after the Browns game. And that was supposed to be the projected date that he should be ready after the Browns game. They beat the Browns up. They go 7-1. You're going to take a guy out of the lineup that has won 7 straight games? What are we talking about here? Are we really having a conversation about this? There's no way the Cowboys are going to take the hottest quarterback in the league in terms of win percentage out of the lineup. It's not happening. I don't think there's anything that needs to be discussed here. Captain Spartan 04 says, Witten played in 45 more games, receptions. There's nothing to talk about here, man. You don't have a case. You don't have a case. Heath Miller probably never going to get in the Hall of Fame. Hey, he's had a hell of a career. He'll be in the Steelers Ring of Fame and their Ring of Honor. And that's all nice, and he deserves all of that, but he's not a Hall of Fame football player. Jason Witten is one of the best tight ends in NFL history. Don't ever put Heath Miller's name in the same sentence with Jason Witten. They don't belong in the same sentence. Don't do that. That's a disrespect to what Witten's done throughout his career. Heath Miller just missed, before he retired, the year prior, he had missed the entire season with an ACL tear. Jason Witten has only missed 1 game in his career. 1. That was it. This man, I've seen this man play with a broken nose, broken fingers, dislocated shoulders. He's the toughest SOB I've ever seen at the tight end position. And the guy doesn't complain. He's the consummate professional. He's been a leader on that Cowboys team. They've had clowns come up and down that Cowboys roster. He's been the stabilizing force. Love Heath Miller. He's no Jason Witten. Not even close. Sorry to burst your bubble. Andrew Kim says, Eagles possibly trading for a receiver before the deadline. That's the word on the street. Put your ear to the pavement and you'll hear that that's the word on the street. They sniffing around Torrey Smith in San Francisco. They sniffing around Alshon Jeffrey. I don't see that going down because for all of the moves the Eagles made this offseason to get these first-round picks to put them in a position to really do some damage, to get back into the first round after trading away your first-round pick, to get back in it, to give it away to the Bears for Alshon Jeffrey doesn't make a lot of sense to me. So I don't see that trade consummating, but I could easily see them going after Torrey Smith because it's not going to take you a first or second round pick to fetch him, maybe a third or a fourth, but it's not going to take you a high-level pick to get Torrey Smith, who will instantly give you some dynamic speed that Carson Wentz can throw the football to. Like I said, he's not going to change the game from an underneath perspective, but if you're talking about a guy that can take the top off the defense that's going to scare you, it's going to make you keep a safety deep and maybe keep a less guy in the box, Torrey Smith can do that for you. So there are some options out there. We'll see what the Eagles decide to do. Nick Riley says, man, don't get me started on that goddamn Huff kick return. Our special teams was ass in that game. Hey, they've been doing it to everybody, man. Don't feel bad. Smoke says, thought that the game was going to be a tie. Man, we had a couple that I thought were going to be. I thought that Raiders-Bucks game was going to be a tie, to be honest with you. All right. Anal Probe 9000 says, impressive comeback by the boys, but for some reason, they still don't scare me. They had a rally late, but they seem relatively beatable. Look, the good teams in the league find a way to win. It's not always going to be pretty. Look at the Raiders. They're 6-2 right now. Wasn't pretty today. Didn't need to be pretty. Just needed to be a W. I say it all the time. Doesn't have to be pretty. Just got to be gritty and a W. That's it. No one cares 3 weeks down the road how pretty, how impressive it was. Just got to get the W, and the Cowboys seem to find ways to win. The bad teams in the league find ways to lose. The good teams in this league find a way to win. Cowboys did it again. They're now 6-1 on the season, but they're struggling. I'm going to tell you this much. They look to be much better against teams outside the division. When they play in the division, already lost to the Giants, could have lost this game to the Eagles, should have lost to the Redskins. So you arguably could say they've played their worst games against teams in the division. Outside the division, they look like juggernauts right now due to the Dallas Cowboys. But we'll see. Right now, they got a 2-game cushion on everybody else in the division. They're playing outstanding football. That lead probably going to blossom next week as they take on the Cleveland Browns. Don't see them losing that game. Don't know who the Eagles play next week. Don't know who the Giants play coming off their bye. But I tell you what, if those teams don't take care of business with the Redskins on their bye, Cowboys could leave week number 9 with a 2.5 to 3 game cushion on everyone else in the division. See what the next comment is. All right. Cruising 26 says the Eagles lost this game when they decided to run a trick play in field goal position with 6 minutes left. I felt like they made the play call, and I already complained about this. The play calling was horrible down the stretch. All right, I didn't have a problem with the trick play, the double pass. I had a problem with Wentz throwing the football 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage for a 4-yard loss when you're in field goal range. Everything should be going forward. It seemed like they were hell-bent on getting the football out of his hands as if the Cowboys had this immaculate pass rush, and they were so scared about their protection up front that they had to get it out of his hands, and they're throwing all these passes at or behind the line of scrimmage, and the Cowboys were sitting on them and making great tackles for either no gain or losses. They had a situation where it was 2nd and 3 or 2nd and 1, and they throw a 2-yard pass behind the line of scrimmage to Jordan Matthews, who gets tackled for a loss, and it makes it 3rd and 3, and then they throw a hitch or essentially a comeback to Burton on 3rd and 3 against the Cowboys' number 2 corner. And you're like, this is a 3rd-string tight end / fullback. What is he doing one-on-one matched up with a cornerback, and you thinking that that's the best matchup you got? I just don't get it. I thought the play calling was at best bad late in the game. I thought they dropped the football there. All right. Ain't No Probe 9000 says, as a Skins fan, I see us tying up our series with them on Thanksgiving. Really disappointed in the Eagles blowing that game, though. Yeah, you can look at it one of two ways. You can either say, damn, Eagles, you blew an opportunity to get everybody else back involved in this divisional race. Or you can say, all right, Eagles, you pissed away an opportunity to really do some damage, not only in the division, but wild card wise. Now they've come back to the pack because as I was talking to one of my fellow Redskin brethren earlier, he was saying, look, man, looking around the NFC, for real, this wild card is not out of the realm of possibility. I don't like talking about the playoffs and using the P word this early in the season. It's still so much football. We're still another 4 weeks away from me really legitimately starting to look at seeding and where teams are. And we're not even ready to start putting the in the hunt, categories up and division leaders and all that stuff. We're not even really at a place where we need to do that right now because there's so much football left to be played. A lot of teams still haven't even hit their bye week yet. But they did blow this opportunity. I thought the Eagles had a golden opportunity to really tighten things up in this division, and they let the Cowboys run away with a huge division lead. Now, 2 games is huge with the Cowboys playing the way that they have been playing over the last 2 months. Smoke says that fumble was huge for the boys. Huge momentum changer. Got them within 1 possession after they got a field goal off of that. Yeah, big time forced fumble there. Got to leave the young fellas at home on prime time. Got to leave them at home. Captain Spartan 04 says, what's with the FSU kickers today, yesterday, Aguayo, Seabass? Man, they've been struggling, man. It's not good to be an FSU kicker these days right now. Nick Riley says, how about the Cowboys fake punt? That was hella bold. Yeah, it was. Redhead Jesus is pulling all the strings out right now, and they're working. When you're hot, I say this all the time. When you're hot, man. When you're not, you're not. And they're hot right now. Anything they touch right now is turning to gold, man. So when they call a fake punt, it's working. When they call 4th and 1 quarterback sneak, it's working. Everything that they do right now, it's working for the Cowboys, man. And they're hot, man, right now. When you win 6 in a row, you get breaks like this, and you make gutsy calls that turn out to be the right call. And the Cowboys are really hot right now. Coaching staff doing a hell of a job. They're hot right now. What more can I say? All right. RG3, hashtag smoking at 3, hashtag 1000. Hashtag says, Skip Bayless said he wanted the Cowboys to trade Tony Romo. Who cares what Skip Bayless says? Captain Spartan 04 says, this offseason, Eagles should trade for Jamal Charles. Works out for both teams. I guess a 5th rounder or you wanting a specific draft pick. It's crazy because Jamal Charles is going to be evaluated by the renowned specialist, Dr. James Andrews, tomorrow. That knee obviously still not right. He's still not feeling good, which explains why the Chiefs have really slow played it with him, still giving Spencer Ware the bulk of those carries. So right now I don't know if that's something that the Eagles would like to explore. You got to make sure that he's healthy before you go and do anything crazy like giving up any draft picks or trading for this guy, because right now he doesn't seem to be healthy at all. So we will see. All right. See where else we at. All right. All right. The think I skipped a bunch of comments, but we're going to keep it moving. All right. Sean Mack says, no way in hell I'm picking my Browns in week 9. I don't think you should pick them anytime the rest of this season. I don't see them winning any game. If you can't beat the Jets at home, when you got a 20-7 lead at half, I think the Browns have a legitimate shot. I've been saying this all season long that they weren't going to be 0-16. They got a legitimate shot at going 0-16. They're going to sneak up and get somebody when you least expect it. But right now, I'm not picking those boys at all this season. When they win, I'll take a loss that week. I am not picking the Browns anymore, man. This was my last stand with them. And they let me down for the final time. I'm done with them. Nick Riley says, Dak going to be hot until he find that Viking #1 defense in front of him. We're going to see. We're going to see. Matthew Fevish says, Louie, what are your opinions on Wentz over the past few games? Doesn't seem to be getting opportunities to throw the ball down the field. The play calling receivers or him? To me, it's the play calling. They're not giving him a lot of opportunities to push the football down the field. Did you see a lot of these shorter passes? It was the short pass. Look at his numbers. Again, I said it last week when they played against the Vikings. Those are some preschool-like numbers, man. Those are some pedestrian, kindergarten-like numbers. You know, yards per attempt, way down. I mean, you're talking about a guy that's throwing a football over 40. He probably had over 40, close to 40 attempts in this game. 43 attempts, 202 yards, 32 completions. Come on, man. Those are elementary school, kindergarten-type numbers, man. I mean, a lot of quick hitters, quick get the football out. Again, they want to simplify things. We keep forgetting that this guy's a rookie. And I think the Eagles feel like, look, for as well as he's played, he's going to make mistakes. We want to limit the amount of mistakes he makes because we want his confidence to be high. And if we keep the throws to high percentage throws close to the line of scrimmage, he'll be fine. And when we ask him to take some shots, maybe he'll be able to connect down the field. But they're not giving him plenty of opportunities. And I think they don't trust the receivers, frankly, to win down the field and give him targets down the field to win. And so because of that, I think they're electing to go shorter, quick passing game to give him an opportunity to get some completions and stay ahead of the sticks. You can't go broke making a profit in this league. And if you get 3 on first down and you get 4 on second down, it's 3rd and 3, you'll take that. And that's what the Eagles seem to be doing, and that's what they're living and dying by right now. Let's stay ahead of the sticks. Let's stay in 3rd and manageable and see if we can't continue to move the sticks. They're not looking for big chunk plays, though. I can tell you that much. If Sproles doesn't get it on his own, I don't think they looked down the field once except for a double pass by their wide receiver. I can't think of many other opportunities of shots taken down the field with Wentz being the one pulling the trigger at the quarterback position. Sean Mack says, I'm typing with a broken hand. Can I go in the Hall of Fame, bro? That's gutsy, but I don't think that's going to qualify you for the Hall of Fame. Captain Spartan 04 says, Miller is a Hall of Fame tight end. And you can sit there and keep arguing that, man. I don't think you're going to get far with that one. Who do you see getting traded before the deadline? Hard to say because in football, you don't see a lot of action. I've heard a lot of teams are interested in upgrading their tackle positions. So you've heard Joe Thomas out there. Who are buyers? Who are sellers? What teams really going to say, all right, we'll give you Joe Hayden for fill in the blank. We'll give you Joe Thomas for fill in the blank. 49ers heard that they're interested in trading Joe Staley. Again, you hear these things, but do you actually take these teams seriously? And who's willing to part ways with what it's going to take to get one of these players? That's the question. You don't see it in football very often, so I'm not buying it. I told you I'm not buying it until it actually happens. Captain Spartan 04 says, missed 1 career game but hasn't had a season ending injury like Miller. I guess. I get that. And some of that is part luck. Some of that is part skill. He just hasn't been in that position to injure himself, takes good care of his body, does everything he needs to do. Some guys are fortunate that way. They don't have any major injuries. And Jason Witten, he's had injuries that would have put some guys out on the shelf for a number of weeks. He's just a tough SOB. All right. Moving down the line. Nick says, man, I don't know this college question, but tell me that Spate ain't starting to look like an NFL quarterback. He not. I'll go ahead and tell you that right now. He got a long way to go, man. That Michigan offense, like you would say, is booty, man. A lot of garbage. I see a lot of throws up to Darboh, and I'm like, that ball was in the air looking like a punt for 5.2 seconds on some hang time, and the corner just don't know where the ball at, and Darboh ended up catching it. I swear it'd be some trash out there going on at the quarterback position, but that's college football. It ain't just him. A lot of players just be throwing the ball up in the air and just be hanging up there forever, and the receiver come down and you're like, how the hell he catch that? Because the corner don't know where the damn ball at. That's why. Captain Spartan 04 says, you said Witten been on the stabilizer on the Cowboys roster. So has Miller. Yeah, I'm not going to argue with you there. He was a great leader for them and a great glue guy. But again, he's been okay. He's never been – Witten has been the guy. Heath Miller was never the guy in Pittsburgh. He was a guy, a huge contributor. Don't get me wrong. But Witten's the man. Straight up. There's no debating that. All right. Let's see. I skipped anything. Enrique Valencia says, you know who Carson Wentz reminds me of? Alex Smith. Maybe. I think the way they're using him, yeah, but I think he can evolve into something more than that. But right now, that's not a bad comparison. That's not a bad comp. I don't like the fact that they're not pushing the football down the field anymore. Early in the season, they were pushing the football down the field, and it's just like all of a sudden they just decided that nope, we're gonna play it close to the vest. We're gonna run it a ton, and we're not gonna push the football down the field. They're not even challenging the Cowboys in this game intermediately. I mean, he's not even throwing the football 15 to 20. I'd love to see a cut up of how many of his passes in the air traveled 15 to 25 yards in this game. I'd love to see how much he worked the intermediate stuff, even 10 to 20 yards. Let's scale it back a little bit. You know, no, 10 is too easy. 15 to 20 to 25 yards. I don't think there were many of those passes in this game from him. So, yeah, that's looking like a very apt comparison right now, even though I don't want to believe that. But maybe that's who he is, and maybe that's, again, he's a rookie. They're not trying to put a lot on his plate. They're scaling back what they're asking him to do. So I'm not going to say that that's what he is right now. Sean Mack says, hell no, we ain't, bro. LOL, I'm not picking them either. I hope you're right, but I'm telling you, y'all look like y'all 0-16 material right now, man. Straight up. Smoke says, Browns will have the number 1 pick. Question mark. Yeah, I think they're going 0-16 now. So, yeah, they're going to have the number 1 pick. Bears already won, and the 49ers already won. Those boys may not win any more games themselves, but I don't know. The Browns may not win any, man. So, we're going to see. Sean Mack says, LeBron needs to throw on a uni and play wide receiver. He might get a W. Hey, look, man. They could use all the help they can get. I can't wait to watch that game and see how the hell they managed to blow that lead and lose that game. That's sickening. Smoke says, which teams are you buying and selling on? I'm buying the Atlanta Falcons. I told you that already. I've already bought the Cowboys. I bought them a few weeks back. I said if they went and they beat Cincinnati and they went and took care of Cincinnati, I was sold. And then when they went to Green Bay, that was the last straw for me. That was the one that really sold me. I said, all right, give me all the Cowboy stock you got. I'm buying it up. So I'm buying the NFC East as a whole. Maybe not the Giants so much as the rest of the teams in the division, but the Eagles are going to play consistent ball. They're going to win some games you don't expect them to win, but at the end of the day, I don't think they're a playoff team. But I think the Giants, maybe they come off the bye and they're playing even better football. Who knows? But I'm not buying. I'm buying the NFC East right now. That whole division seems scary. I'm selling the Arizona Cardinals. They can't win on the road. Their pass offense isn't as good as I thought it was going to be this season. I don't know what's wrong with Carson Palmer, but I'm selling the Arizona Cardinals. I'm selling the Carolina Panthers. They won today. I still don't think they're right. They're 2-5. But let's see what they do. But I'm selling them. In the AFC, I look at a number of teams. I'm buying the Houston Texans. They're gonna make the playoffs. They're gonna win that division. I'm selling the Indianapolis Colts. Golden opportunity. Alex Smith leaves the game, and you let Nicholas Foles come in and dice you. I'm selling the Indianapolis Colts. The Green Bay Packers. I'm buying the Green Bay Packers in the NFC. Also in the AFC, I'm buying the Denver Broncos. They got a good win. I'm buying the Oakland Raiders. Even though I'm not sure if they're going to win the division, they're going to make the playoffs as a wild card if they don't win that division. And that division is still wide open. And don't sleep on the Chiefs. I am buying the Kansas City Chiefs. The most quietest 5-2 team in the league right now, Kansas City Chiefs. Nobody's talking about them, but quietly those boys are 5-2 and going on the road and winning games, something that the Houston Texans can't seem to do right now. Let's see. right, let's go back up. See if I missed any more comments. Happy Halloween to you. I don't even know if Happy Halloween. It's just Halloween. But I appreciate that, Cubone. Sean Mack says, if the Vikings win on Monday, I might take Cubone's throne. We're going to see, man. Turned out to be a better week. A lot of y'all got away with murder this week, man. You should have lost the Bengals game. I know a lot of y'all picked Cincinnati. I wanted to win just so I could look at y'all and say dummies. But y'all got away with one today. I still think it's going to be hard for you to go after Cubone's throne just with that tie factored in there. Let's see. Do you think Goff starts at any point this season? Maybe at the end of the season. If they deem him ready, maybe. He won't start anytime soon, though. The Rams have to be totally out of it, and they have to be comfortable with where he is in his maturation and his process. If they feel comfortable enough to put him in there, like he can make all the checks at the line, get the right situation under control, get blitzes and set up the protections correctly, protect himself essentially. You don't want to put him out there and he can't protect himself. Then you'll see you won't see him in there if they don't trust him to do that. All right. Nick Riley says, man, that Raiders defense stinks. Yeah, it does. It does, but they winning games. That's all that matters. Andrew Kim says, best week of football so far. Yeah, I agree with that. That's the question mark, but I agree with that. And just as a quick recapper, for those of you out there, I might give y'all 5 more minutes that have questions or comments. Use the hashtag LouieTeeLive if you want it read. Cowboys get it done, man. 29-23 in overtime. Great comeback. Down 10 in the fourth quarter. Down 7 late in the fourth. Get the game time drive. Win the coin flip in overtime. Take the coin flip and win. Take the football. Move it down the field. Get in the end zone. And give them the win. They go to 6-1 on the season. And take a commanding 2-game lead on everyone else in the NFC East. Devastating loss to the Eagles. They were right there. They had this game in their grasp, and they let it slip through their fingers. Thought the play calling was horrible late. Thought they made some mistakes, costly mistakes. Wendell Smallwood's fumble among them, huge in this game down the stretch, giving the Cowboys more opportunities to come back and take this game. So, with that being said, I'll read one more comment from my man Smoke, since I don't see any more. Rookies of the year. Right now, Ezekiel Elliott, Offensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year. I think when it's all said and done, Joey Bosa. Both Buckeyes are going to take it. I think Joey Bosa, the way he's playing, didn't watch them today. Don't know what he did in the game, but 4 sacks in 3 games going into today's game. He's putting up a hell of a case to get the Rookie of the Year on the defensive side of football. So we'll see what happens there. You buying and selling all these teams, but nothing about my Vikings. Send that money to my PayPal, straight cash, homie. I bought the Vikings a long time ago, man. I didn't feel the need to repeat myself, but if you needy out there and you need me to say it, then I say it. I've been bought the Viking stock a long time ago. When y'all won in week 2, when I picked you to beat the Green Bay Packers at home, that let me know you were serious. Then when you went to Carolina and won, I said, I don't need to say anything else. I'm buying these boys. I bought you a long time ago. John Pemble says, what do you think about the Vikes after their first loss? They're fine. I told you that they're going to be fine. And this is the perfect bounce back game for them. It is family business, so do expect them to struggle just a little bit. But at the end of the day, I expect them to run away with this game and hide and beat the brakes off the Bears and get back on track. And it's a perfect game for them to do that against a bad Bears football team. Elijah Gilbert says, I wouldn't be surprised if Romo wasn't on the Cowboys next year. Wouldn't shock me in the least either, man. I mean, I don't know if he goes off the roster, but I don't know what his salary looks like next year. I'm assuming it's a big number. And if they got any way to minimize that, and if he doesn't want to talk numbers, or he's a team guy, so he strikes me as somebody that if they say, hey, Tony, we need some of that money back, he would restructure his deal. But if he wouldn't, maybe there are some teams out there that want a veteran quarterback, and if he wants to play that badly, maybe he'd end up on another team with a chance to play. Who knows? We'll see. That wouldn't shock me, though. Would not shock me in the least. Stones Levi says, do you think the Vikings will beat the Cowboys? I don't know. It's hard to say. Those teams don't play next week. Things change so rapidly in the league. I mean, anything could happen. Somebody could get hurt, major injury with one of these two teams. Both of these teams could have some major injuries and change the whole tenor of that ball game. Too early to ask who will win. If these teams were playing next week and we knew who were the healthy guys playing, then I'll be able to give you something. But you play the Browns next week if you're a Cowboys fan. And the Vikings, they still got their game this week with the Bears. They got to take care of business there. So, hard to really comment on that right now. Let's see what else we got. Ricky Lemire says, better all-around running back, David Johnson or Zeke? David Johnson right now. David Johnson is the better all-around running back right now. Zeke is not far behind. If I went, and it's crazy that we're doing this, but if I went best all-around backs right now, I would go David Johnson, and this is crazy. I know this is crazy. David Johnson, Ezekiel Elliott, and then I would put Pittsburgh Steelers running back Le'Veon Bell in there, only because Le'Veon Bell hasn't played in as many games this season because of the suspension. These other guys have been doing it all season long, but if you're talking on based off of past play, then it would go Le'Veon Bell first, David Johnson, and then Zeke. But the fact that this man is already in the top 3 in the league in terms of best all-around backs, and he's a rookie and has only played in 7 games is astonishing. But that's how good he's been. He's as good as advertised. This is what we were told he was going to be, and he's been everything and then some for the Cowboys this season. Elijah Gilbert says, I'm thinking Miami, Cleveland, Jets for Romo if he doesn't retire. The Jets sound real good to me. They could use a veteran. That's a veteran team that's ready to go right now. I could go with that, definitely. Elijah Gilbert says, Zeke is GOAT. The man is playing at a stupid level right now. Ridiculous. And on that comment, we're going to call it a night. Thank you guys for joining me. Man, a lot of people watching tonight. Big win for the Dallas Cowboys in overtime. 29-23. Cowboys go to 6-1. This was a huge win. Puts some serious distance between them and everyone else in the NFC East. Meanwhile, the Philadelphia Eagles dropped to 4-3, fall back with the rest of the other teams in the division, and now they're just fighting, trying to stay above water in this tough NFC East division. Huge comeback by Dak Prescott and company to get it done in the fourth quarter and into overtime. That's going to do it for me here on Sunday Night Football Overtime. Remember, if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe. If it happens in the National Football League, whether big or small, we cover it all here on Sunday Night Football Overtime here on the Louie Tee Network. Remember, we're changing the game one live feed at a time. I will see you guys on Monday Night Football, and I got plenty of breakdowns on lockdown coverage on Sunday, of all the Sunday games on Monday. So I will see you here tomorrow for lockdown coverage. Until then, I'm your man Louie Tee, signing off. You guys have a great night. Don't eat too much candy before I talk to you the next time. Have a good one. Cowboys get it done, 29-23 in overtime, 6-1 Cowboys. And now the Eagles had a game, slipped through their fingers. They're now 4-3 with this overtime loss. See you next time.
Broncos won the Super Bowl when Peyton Manning retired. 49ers won 5 games and Tom Sula got fired. RG's in Cleveland and my Rams hit the West Coast. Be sleepless in Seattle cause that 12-man ain't beast mode. Oh yeah, I knew it was something I forgot to mention. Yeah, old Tom Brady about to get that suspension. Yeah, I know the Pats fans probably think that's whack. Yeah, but at the end of the day, your balls was flat. It's that time again. It's that time again to go hard in the offseason, cause we trying to win. We gon' go so hard, we don't take no days off. Hopefully one day it's all gonna pay off. Shout out your defense, they tissue, cause they soft. Catch 'em while they sleeping, we gon' sneak in the playoffs. I'm ready for some football, I don't know about you. Who else could it?